Alright, who's hungry? Something really does appear to have crawled up Irving's butt this episode. He has been pretty moody ever since Bert was retired, but in this episode, he really seemed like he stepped up his crankiness. Essentially, he had reached the point of it. We all have that point, and he reached it. This episode was insane. So much happened. It was a thrilling episode. Let's talk about it. As soon as this episode started, I was thinking about Star Trek. Why is that, you ask? Well, because in Star Trek, there was a wing on the ship that was called the holodeck, and when you went into this part of the ship, you would just tell the computer what you wanted to experience or see, and it would create a perfect replica of it. You could literally be a pirate, you could be a spy that's at a 60s diner, it could do whatever you wanted, and that is what I was thinking of when these people woke up in this frozen tundra. Because I was like, wait a minute, how did they get here so suddenly? I just don't think that they transported these people to an entirely different part of the country. It just didn't seem feasible. Not to mention when you take the fact that there was like a random TV that popped up out of nowhere, creepy clones that were used as guidance. These are the things that make it clear that this is not real. They were very much still at Lumen in this episode. We get to find out some pretty interesting things about Kier's past in this episode, and we are overdue for that because, man, this family, the way people talk about him, it's just weird and creepy, so I am all for some backstory. Mostly we find out that the mountain that the team is on in this episode is the exact location that Kier and his twin brother went on a walkabout. It's a story that elicits quite the response from Helly after she points out that basically this story is saying that Dieter jacked off and then just dropped dead. It is a very vague and silly sounding story, and that's why Helly laughs. Although we know now that that is not Helly, that's actually Helena, but more on that later. Milchek seemed so personally offended by Helly's reaction, and it just makes me wonder, why is this guy so loyal to this company? What is going on there? He can't be an Egan for obvious reasons. I mean, he doesn't look like any of the other Egans. I guess he could be an Egan if there was some marriage that happened back in the day, but that's not what I'm thinking is going on at all. I think that perhaps the Egans did something for Milchek, like maybe a down on his luck younger Milchek ended up being helped out by the Egans and now has a fierce loyalty to them. Milchek is still very much a mystery character. We know almost nothing about this guy, but I get the feeling that he has a pretty dark past, and I am hoping that we do get to learn more about him soon because he's a fascinating character for sure. I get a feeling that he used to be a soldier. Something tells me that this man can really handle himself, but yeah, I don't know. I am not one to figure out mysteries, but it is sure fun to speculate. There were some genuinely creepy moments in this episode as well. It had a real supernatural element to it. The lifeless and emotionless clones, creepy. The short witch girl, disturbing. The dead seal, creepy and disgusting. I mean, assuming that the whole place is in fact a simulation, like I said, what is the purpose of that dead seal? Why did it look so disgusting? You couldn't even really tell that that was a seal. I don't know how they made the connection, but it was straight up nasty looking. Did this seal die in a similar way to Dieter? Because the way Dieter sounds, it sounds like he kind of just melted into the environment. Maybe that's what happened to this seal. There's a reason for this seal for sure. Is there some kind of a supernatural force in this forest? Is that what leads to Kier's wealth? Did Kier find something in this forest? Maybe that short little witch girl, and somehow she did some kind of spell for him and he got wealthy that way? There's so much to speculate, but I think that there is some significance to this place for sure, and I don't think that some of the trippy stuff that we're seeing is literally just nonsense. So what did crawl up Irving's ass this episode? He has been eyeing her with suspicion since the very first episode when she mentioned finding a gardener at night, but really in this episode he seemed like he turned up his moodiness to 11. And people were actually calling this. It turns out the internet is not just filled with trolls. There's actually some very smart people out there, people who are eagle-eyed and looking through the little clues and finding all the little details, because people were calling that Helena was actually Helly as late as last week's episode. I thought for sure that there was a weird moment between her and Mark in the hallway. They just seemed to lack a bit of that chemistry that they normally had, but I didn't really think about her actually being Helena until this episode when she made that super harsh remark and shade towards Irving about being alone. It just seemed very uncharacteristic for Helly, so I was like, okay, that was a bit bitchy. Maybe that is in fact Helena. My takeaway from this episode is that Irving is straight up a hero. He sacrificed himself for Mark, for Dylan, and for Helly. He knew that she was a mole, he wanted to find out the truth, and he valued his life very little lately because he felt like he lost so much. So he felt like now is the time to get this answer. And man, that stare off between Milchek and Irving, I thought for sure Irving was like gonna deck him in the face, but I was like, that also might not be a good idea because like I said, Milchek's probably got some moves. Anyway, he did not. And look at that intensity and insane frustration in Milchek's eyes. This guy was pissed. He was so intense, his eyes, his tone, he was so mad. He was literally offended. And again, I'm asking, why is he so offended? Why is he so loyal to this company? Next week's episode is going to be awesome, and I'm saying that fresh off of this episode, which I think might be one of the best episodes of this entire series. And guess what? We're not even halfway done yet, so we are in for a treat for season 2, I think. There will for sure be some fallout to the Helly reveal, and I don't think that we have seen the last of Irving. We might not see the Irving that's at Lumen anymore, and he might not be back until the season finale, but I am calling it now. Irving is not done on this show because there is still story to tell with him. We still need to know why that guy knows about the exports hallway and why he was painting it as an Audi. So that's why he is not done, trust me. This was a fantastic episode. What did you guys think of it? Put your thoughts in the comments. Put your theories in the comments as well. We need to continue hashing this out. There is so much fun to be had when you get conversations going. People, the ones that figured out that Helly was actually Helena, you guys, put your thoughts in the comments. I need to know what you guys are thinking next. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that little like button. And if you want to hear more things from me, subscribe to this channel. Later.